Other interesting business news, you have Wendy's gets a new PepsiCo exec to become their CEO. Now, this comes to us thanks to Amelia Lucas over at CNBC, and they note they are hiring the CEO in part to fight off activist pressure, which is something you're seeing more and more as a theme when we talk about publicly traded companies, whether it be Walt Disney, you have Tesla. There are many companies where if there are some activists or some investors who think the CEO is not doing their fiduciary responsibility or they're moving the company in the wrong direction, some activists will actually increase their footprint or they'll increase rather their size and stake in the company so they can fight, excuse me, to get some more seats on the board of directors and help sway the direction of the company. And in some cases, you also have activist investors who just want to buy out the whole company as well, which is what Macy's actually is in risk of, and some other companies have been throughout the years. Now, it looks like the specific gentleman that's coming from PepsiCo is by the name of Kirk Tanner, and he spent more than 3 decades with PepsiCo, and I mean that's probably the most successful beverage company right up there with Coca-Cola. Actually, now my ADHD knows no bounds. Now I'm curious. I would guess, does PepsiCo probably still have a big market cap because of the Frito-Lay? Because Pepsi stock, PepsiCo stock total value is $228 billion. And go to Coca-Cola stock. Their current market value is, no way, $258.84 billion. So they are pretty darn close. Well, it's actually a little disappointing just with PepsiCo because, again, if you go to the grocery store, they own about 65% of the salty snack aisle. You just go down there and look at the little label at the back of most packaging when it comes to junk food, and you'll see if it doesn't say PepsiCo, it will say their address over in Texas. So I'm actually shocked. Even with the salty snacks, they're not beating Coca-Cola in terms of the total stock value and market cap. Now, that being said, the stock price is still triple. So Coca-Cola is at $57.87 per share, while PepsiCo is at $166.36 per share. And their dividend yield is darn near identical as well. So Coca-Cola is at 3.07, PepsiCo is at 3.04 dividend yield. But nevertheless, back to Wendy's, which, interestingly enough, you could also tie in because there's one of the suppliers is undoubtedly Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Now, let's see here. They know that recently Wendy's had taken over Burger King as the second largest burger chain in the U.S. by sales, right behind, of course, the big OG, McDonald's. Now, they also know that the chain has struggled with the slowdown in low-income consumer spending, which, again, there's also many issues with the cost of goods increasing and just the components of everything that you want to buy going up to record high inflation. You also have labor rates in some states. I forget if it's $20 or $26 per hour, but California is ridiculously increasing the wages for fast food workers, going against what the business interests. The government's dictating it. So that's going to kill the fast food categories in many states, I believe, long term. Because again, the purpose of fast food is fast and cheap. I mean, no one's going to McDonald's or Wendy's for $13 or I would say even $10 hamburger. I mean, truth be told, I might not be the authoritarian to speak about the taste of the product. Truth be told, I don't think I've had one of those for 20 years. But like, what's a Big Mac cost these days? And granted, okay, so the average cost is $5.58, which is actually up from $4.89 or 70 cents before Biden took office. There's actually a whole article that talks about the politics of foods, which perhaps we'll dive into at another time. But yeah, that's almost $6 because, again, you got to pay sales tax. $6 for a hamburger. I mean, the dollar menu used to be a ruling billion-dollar idea. But yeah, Wendy's has had to increase their price like they all have. Now, going back to the experience of Kirk Tanner, it looks like that'll be effective February 5th, so right around the corner. And this is as Wendy's wants to try to boost its share price and ease pressure from activist investors, which also begs the questions, what is Wendy's stock price? $19.34 per share compared to, geez Louise, hindsight's always 2020. McDonald's is trading for $300.21 for a single share. McDonald's market cap is $217.78 billion. Wendy's market cap, oh geez Louise. That is night and day, which also shows you the difference between a real estate company and a fast food company. Read one of Ray Kroc's books to well, that's not really a joke, more of a funny observation of how McDonald's really makes money. So McDonald's, the whole company, the whole market cap of McDonald's is $217.78 billion. That's the value of all the stock out there. Juxtapose that with Wendy's. Wendy's is worth $3.99 billion, which is astronomically low. Now, of course, we have to check really quick what's Burger King stock, or they privately held, because I know they were bought out a couple years ago by Restaurant Concepts is the actual legal name behind it. So I think they are no longer on it. Let's double check though. Burger King stock. They're owned by Restaurant Brands International, which A+ for marketing. At least you know what they're doing. So Restaurant Brands International. Now, granted, that's a little. They own multiple brands, so it's difficult to say what the actual value is for that specific intellectual property and business that they own. But even then, Restaurant Brands International is trading for $76.64 per share. It looks like their market cap is $34 billion. So Wendy's definitely has some improvement. Now, again, we're going back to the Wendy's, the 5-year trend for Wendy's. It has gone up by 13%, so at least it's not negative. Go back to the 1-year trend for Wendy's. The 1-year trend is down at 12.85%. Year to date, granted, it's only been a couple weeks, but only down 0.15%. 6 months, Wendy's is down 10.8%. And then the past month is down 4%. And last week it was down about 1%. So not the best. Although they do pay dividends. It's got a pretty good dividend yield at 5.17%. Granted, definitely not financial advice because, again, hindsight's always 20/20 when it comes to these things. And truth be told, I recommend people just invest in themselves because that's the ultimate gamble of starting a business, which statistically speaking will not always do good. It's a tough thing to do, but if you make it, grind and work like hell, you can achieve great things. But I digress. Going back to Mr. Kirk Tanner's experience, Tanner is currently the head of Pepsi's North American beverage business. Prior to his time at the company's drink unit, he spent 3 years leading Pepsi's global food service division. In total, he spent more than 3 decades at Pepsi. The outgoing Wendy's CEO, Todd Penegor, has been at the realm, the helm of the company since 2016. Under his leadership, Wendy's successfully launched its breakfast menu nationwide, helping the company overtake Burger King as the second largest U.S. burger chain by sales. Definitely not by market cap. But nevertheless, they also know that the chain also faced some setbacks during this tenure. Low-income consumers have cut back on their spending at Wendy's, and a large franchise declared bankruptcy in November. See here? Because again, these are an overwhelming majority of these stores are owned by mom and pops and individual businesses who buy franchises. That's actually how Burger King made headlines earlier this week when they made news that they were going to buy about 600 stores. So Burger King, the parent company, they're going to buy 600 stores from the individual owners or the businesses who owns, or actually, sorry, it's one large business that owned many stores, 600 to be exact, for about $1 billion. They're going to buy them, revamp them, fix them up, and then their long-term plan is to resell them. And you see this with most restaurants is a franchise model with only a couple exceptions where the parent company owns a majority of the stores. Now, it looks like shares of, they talk about the market cap was dragged down to $3.97 billion. They also know that, activist investor Blackwell's Capital is planning to challenge Wendy's board. According to Reuters, the CEO transition could change the firm's mind, but if Blackwell's nominates its own board members, it's kicking off a fight with yet another activist investor, Nelson Putz, who is a chair of Wendy's board. And he is perhaps famously known for turning around many brands, including Dr. Pepper, which I was going to say, Keurig Dr. Pepper is now one of the largest companies on the planet. When they built out Dr. Pepper and Snapple groups so big, they were actually bought out by Keurig, which was really known for those silly pods, but that changed the world, created a whole category. But he is known for getting businesses out of politics as well as turning businesses around. You see his name in the headlines a lot these days when it comes to these involvement with Disney. And Nelson Putz is trying to buy out more and more shares of Disney to try to get control of the company and remove them from doing things like sexualizing children and inserting morally vacuous materials, thereby alienating, on average, about 50% of the prospective clients. Now, they also note that a year ago, Peltz dropped an effort by his firm, Trian Fund Management, to acquire the company, signaling the confidence in his performance as Peltz pursued a proxy fight with Disney. Trian has been an investor in Wendy's since 2005. Wendy's is expected to release its Q4 earnings February 15th. Let's see. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's no statistical way I could think, or no, there's no way the math works out where they could actually overtake McDonald's. Let me know in the comments if you think differently. But it'll be interesting to see if they're able to continue to boost their sales and regain some of that market share for the lower income folks. I mean, the only way you can conceivably do that these days, I think, is going to be ramping up automation, trying to either become your own supplier for some of the components, or in this case, we would call them ingredients, to try to decrease those costs, which, again, there's a big upfront investment. But yeah, trying to lower the price point of fast food is becoming more and more difficult as you've had also increased regulation, you have increased labor laws, and you get to the point where an employee can only have X amount of productivity, and the price point, you go negative pretty quick. So let me know in the comments. I mean, Wendy's, I don't know. They always, to me, I'm trying to think as a kid, they're always respected, but you know, they had the shtick of the cool square hamburger patty, which was good marketing and got your attention. It is different, but yeah, it's one of those things where my sister liked Wendy's, but like my dad, yeah, there were a couple folks I knew who were kind of diehard Wendy's fans, but the usual consensus was if you wanted the fastest and the cheapest, you'd go McDonald's. If you wanted something, what is Burger King known for? Because they had cool plastic toys back in the day. But yeah, the identity of Wendy's was a little bit more fresh. I mean, they used to have products like chili and a couple other things that would kind of make it stand out from the crowd. But they kind of struggled with their identity lately. So it'll be interesting to see how can they continue this increase in sales and what can they do to regain some of those customers. And again, acquiring a customer back is one of the most difficult things to do in sales and business. But as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of January, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment and a thumbs up or a thumbs down is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.